Alrighty.
Are you recording already?
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
As you walked across the room,
It's even flashing.
Oh shit! Quick, talk intellectual, witty talk. Oscar Wilde once said, "Fucking stick it anywhere." So we're talking.
He meant it.
Did he what? Stick it in the kitchen. So we're talking the Desolation of Smaug.
Smaug. Yeah. It's
Now-
not that hard, is it?
What do you mean?
Because
To talk about
the
it?
kind of the joke. That like it's
It's not a joke to me. I've always said it was Smog. I always thought it was Smog.
it's because it's Sauron, not Sauron or whatever. You know, it's the
Ah.
same
Yeah.
thing.
So I've been doing it wrong. From like my 8-year-old self would be devastated.
So yeah, we'll talk about that movie. Should we talk about that movie, or should we just talk the Hobbit / Lord of the Rings? 'Cause
I know a lot more about Lord of the Rings than I do about The Hobbit.
I think it's all going to come out in the wash as we talk, because people are kind of negative. There's like this negative tone about these films, but I look at it and go, this is the only way these films could have been made. Like if they'd made The Hobbit first, the film, they could have just done a one-to-one translation of the book, pretty much.
Yep.
Adapted it, of course.
Yep.
And then it would have been done and dusted. But now when you're making it as a prequel to what the Lord of the Rings films were, this is all they could have done. They couldn't have just gone, well, remember the Lord of the Rings and it's Peter Jackson and we're bringing in Weta and going to New Zealand and we're rebuilding the Shire and going back to that world. Well, you couldn't. Well, I don't think you could. You couldn't go, okay, well, now it's this little story that's a kid's story. And it's funny because it's the reverse of what happened with Tolkien himself.
Right, okay.
Because he wrote this little kid's book.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was, like he obviously liked this Hobbit thing.
Wasn't the Hobbit to submit to Alan and Unwin to show that he could write a story that was worth...
Whoever he submitted it to at the time, the 15-year-old kid, like, reviewed it.
Right.
And told his dad it was good, sort of thing.
Right, okay.
Like, there was in one of the editions, there's like a 5-line, cute little adventure book.
Okay, yeah.
Like, and then the guy said, "Cool, my son likes it." Or,
That's enough. Merit.
And he then he wrote the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
It's different tonally.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything about it. It continues on because it's Bilbo, but then it's Bilbo, but this minor character.
Yeah, it's only very loosely a continuation, really, isn't it? Like
60 years later, it's the ring.
It's like a whole new cast.
But there's no way in the Hobbit book do you think that ring is anything other than a magic ring that makes you disappear.
Yeah, exactly right.
You know?
Yeah. So there's retrofitting of the...
then figured, and that's what all the appendices, and he started going, oh, well, like he started trying to make, this is what was happening when Gandalf runs off, and when Battle of Five Armies, like, because in the Hobbit, none of that really happens in the book, because its point of view is Bilbo.
Yeah, we walked from here to here, trolls, orcs, elves, battle, dragon, whatever, the end.
Bard comes along and kills the dragon. In the book, it's like, who the fuck's this guy?
Yeah.
So, you can't make that movie.
Not after, it'd fall flat.
Not in...
Yeah.
So now he's gone, well, okay, let's get all these appendices, let's get everything, and let's make a prequel to Lord of the Rings. This is what it is, it's more of a prequel to
Absolutely.
those three movies.
It's not The Hobbit, it's the prequel. Right. And I think once you get that sort of thing, because we've talked about this before, if Mike and I don't have a problem with... I don't like the female elf in The Hobbit, but I just don't think her or Legolas do a particularly good job. But that's a personal thing. But I see why they needed to put one in there. I see why they've got so much from the appendices in both of the Hobbit movies so far. I've got no problem with it.
But this is what's funny though. I remember the first time the Hobbit came up, someone was like, Battle of Five Armies is going to be fucking huge.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think that's in the book. It's not even in the book.
I'm sure it is.
Maybe it is, but isn't it... What I mean is, doesn't Bilbo just get, like, knocked unconscious or some shit.
Yeah, wakes
and then
up.
He wakes up and the battle's over.
Yeah, sort of.
That kind of thing.
It's that kind of thing. Yeah. It's only very short.
Obviously, in the movies, that's not going to be the case.
No.
There's going to be a fuck off epic battle, and Bilbo's probably going to be swinging a sword around.
Yeah. They should just zoom in on his face and just have a close up on Bilbo just looking at the battle. So they save themselves all the money on the CGI. Like, oh no, oh dragons, oh no. Yeah, no, it's you're right. Like you've got to make it a more interesting story. And if all that information's there, if all that material's there to draw from, you'd be foolish not to use it. Yeah. And make it a more adult experience. I thoroughly enjoyed both of the movies.
Yeah.
For what they're worth.
I mean, look, they're not. I think all of these issues, but because of these disjointed source material.
Yeah.
Which is Tolkien's thing.
Yeah.
Appendices got a bit of stuff, and there's the book itself.
The Silmarillion has some tie-ins.
Yeah. So they're having to piece that together into a fluid story, and that's not really working. I don't think. It's not as cleanly as the Lord of the Rings.
The opening to the second Hobbit, Smaug, is really weird, with Beorn and then orcs, and then all of a sudden they're in the forest and stuff.
The start and the end are a bit weird.
Yeah, the end's very strange.
Yeah. There's no conclusion.
No, very strange. And this is the part this is the problem with a second of a trilogy, where there's a continuation. What ending could they have had in Lake Town? They can't have had Smaug getting killed. They can't have had Lake Town set on fire yet. Yeah. I thought they were actually going to end it. It felt to me like they were going to end it when they turned the key and went in the secret door. That had that beat to it.
I thought they were going to end it when it actually felt like they could have ended it. I think it's before that. It's when they leave. When they leave.
Lake Town on the boats, waving to everybody, wearing the armour and stuff. Yeah.
I thought that actually could have been an ending.
Yeah, good call. Yeah.
But we haven't seen the dragon. We haven't.
You'd be pissed off.
Yeah.
Actually, I was timing it the second time I saw it. That Lake Town, the dragon bit is like 45, 50 minutes out of a 2-hour something movie. Yeah. So that's a large section. So if they ended it there, it'd actually be a lot shorter.
Reminded me of. It was like, shouldn't that be in the extended bit?
I felt that.
Because I liked seeing that stuff.
Yeah.
You know how they didn't go to Tom Bombadil's house?
Yep. Same thing.
Yeah,
I agree with you 100%. I thought, this is to keep Tom Bombadil fans happy.
Yeah.
They're putting in every little dude along the way just to say, he's in there, shut up, he's in there, shut up.
There's no need for that whole scene. Or even in the plot, it didn't need it.
Look cool, though.
They could have just gone, we're going to Mirkwood.
Oh, absolutely. You know what else is funny? Is that when they leave, there seems to be some issue with the continuity. I started it wrong and then I was just fucking all over. Whenever they run, they start out in one terrain and they end up very, very, very quickly in another. So it's really obvious when they find the hidden valley in the first Hobbit movie, they're running away from the orcs and they're in a forest, wooded area. Then all of a sudden they're on grassy plains, and then all of a sudden there's big rock formations everywhere, and they're up against these rocks, and it's like, that looks really strange, the distance of the orcs and stuff. But see, all those little things I kind of can forgive, because I'd rather see that movie than not see it at all.
No.
You know what I mean?
I think they're visually spectacular, they're good films, they're well made. I think it's the story and the fact that they're having to draw from these disjointed appendices here, things that's actually causing it not really to flow.
There's not a lot of gel sort of to the whole.
It's like there's these really cool set pieces.
Yeah.
That are one after the other.
As
opposed to, watching the Two Towers, there's all these little subtle little meetings.
And,
these little talk scenes, and then when you watch The Lord of the Rings extended, you don't know which bits got edited out in the film, but it's generally like an action sequence or this thing, we didn't really need this.
Yeah.
I'm finding that it's almost the opposite, because when you watch the extended of The Hobbit, the first one, it's all those scenes where he's talking to Galadriel and
it's a lot more flavour, isn't it?
Yeah, you're like, hang on, why does this get to this? Is actually they're talking about plot.
Take out some of the silly dwarf talking, jokey stuff. Take out 2 of the songs. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it
totally.
feel like it's almost the reverse. Because I watch those extended editions and I don't see them as being extended editions.
That is just the film, isn't it?
I don't even know what bits are in the fucking thing anymore, to be honest.
I said this to my girlfriend the other day, saying that movie that we saw at the cinemas isn't the Hobbit movie. the Hobbit movie comes out in November, whenever the extended edition is released. That because they've planned for that, and they've released that. So they've planned for 100%, they've released 90%.
The releases are literally just the cinemas can't be 3 hours.
Yeah, there'd be some rule somewhere, some marketing guy.
I don't know what I would... Watching The Lord of the Rings now without the extended, I don't know what film I'm watching. So I don't even know which bits. I watched Two Towers yesterday and went, this is fucking perfect.
I think...
It's the bit where Boromir is in it and stuff.
Yeah.
That fits in...
Oh, it's seamless.
Perfect.
Yeah. Same as in the first one, when the elves are leaving and the hobbits see the elves. And then in the third one, the opening part with Saruman was all cut out.
Yeah.
Which is rubbish, because that was really important and really good.
Yeah, and that's why I find watching The Hobbit, those extended scenes in Rivendell or whatever, where there's more council stuff, there's more Galadriel, that all works. You get to see the relationship between...
totally. Saruman, Gandalf.
And Galadriel's really explored a bit more.
Yeah.
I don't see that as cut-out stuff.
That's the White Council. I think that's only appendices. I don't think that's actually
none of that's in The Hobbit book.
Or the Lord of the Rings book.
Gandalf fucking off.
Yeah.
Isn't it at all in The Hobbit.
I think that's all appendices.
Yeah.
Which is good. Yeah. And if it's there, use it. But you're right, set pieces. And it's kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean had that same sort of thing. Had like 3 or 4 set pieces with crappy reasons to get across in the middle.
So that's my only kind of thing with The Hobbit in terms of, it's just the plot is a little bit more disjointed. It's not even disjointed, it's just not as smooth as Lord of the Rings.
How could they have done anything?
I don't know, I don't have a solution for this.
I'm just wondering, given the film as it is, could you have had a thing where... Because in-film text used to be a bit of a smoothing over, and now they travelled 3 days and 3 nights to the whatever, and then it fades up from black and they're walking across the... Not saying that's what they should have done, but...
Look, that's the thing, there's no real big issues. I just think it's not as strong a developed story as The Lord of the Rings. And it's not...
Here's a question.
Yeah, it's a fucking fan affair, I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
If you like Tolkien, if you like that world, if you like The Hobbit, just watch it and enjoy it. Yeah. The bit where they're going through the barrel escape and he rolls out onto the land, kills like 4,200 orcs, and then he goes whoosh, kicks it out stuff, and then kicks more ass, and then he jumps back in.
I laughed when they're running to the house and he's overtaking
everybody else, and he's going, he's absolutely burning. But you know what I was saying the other day to some guy on the street who wanted to listen, was it is similar to 300. We watching all these fantastic events going, oh, this is amazing. How is this real? And it turns out David Wenham's actually telling the story. The Hobbit is actually a story written by Bilbo. So he can extrapolate and makes it... Maybe the Goblin King wasn't that big. Maybe they didn't fall that far. Because, a lot of people go, oh, I can't believe they survived all that fall. So hang on a minute. If you're watching this movie and that's the only thing you've picked up, there's a talking fucking dragon, man. Like,
I mean, that's the thing. Fantasy, none of that matters. I mean, there was some comments about Legolas now kind of... He's too supery,
Yeah.
He almost... Where I kind of feel that's the filmmaking being able to do that stuff more than that. But then in Lord of the Rings, he did some super shit. It was just more...
was punctuated.
Strategically. Punctuated.
Well, what it was the first one, because I watched a thing with PJ talking about it. The first one, they didn't realise he was going to be a star, a fan favourite. So they then added... So he kills all the guys on the Moomac and then slides down the trunk and has the little witty...
Bigger. In the Helm's Deep, he's surfing down the thing.
I argue with you that he's actually not an elf warrior. He's actually a boarder, a skateboarder, a surfboarder, a wakeboarder, because he's always surfing down the shield, down the Moomac trunk. In this one, he uses the body of a guy. There's always this sort of weird...
That's because Orlando Bloom is.
Is he?
He's a bit of an extreme sports guy. That was his thing.
He looks like he'd break if he did anything extreme. I don't know. He was a bit too posy for me in that movie, and so was the Evangeline Lilly, Turarian, Nyquil, whatever her fucking name is. And then the King, Thranduil, was the same, but he was really good. He was badass. Even though I didn't like him as a character, he was amazing.
His face
How much better is it in that movie than it was in the last Bond movie?
Oh, yeah.
With the face change.
It's like 3 seconds.
Yeah. How impactful.
Yeah.
You get all you need to know.
Yeah.
The only thing is, when he's talking about the white gems and stuff, he's talking about the Silmarils, right?
I don't know what they... that might be what they are, but it's those... because I'm not that...
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but it's the ones he gives them in the start of the...
Yeah, that cause all the problems between the elves and the dwarves.
Yes,
Yeah, I think it's the
That
Silmarils.
might be the Silmarils. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
But
I'm not
those
sure.
Gems
Yeah.
that he's talking... Because some people think he's... I was listening to a review the other day, and they think that he also wants the Arkham Stone.
Oh.
There's people out there that aren't really paying attention.
No, that's not what he's after.
Yeah.
He wants several. Because what happened was they commissioned him to...
It's got gems in it.
Yeah.
Gives it to
Because he didn't pay the dwarves.
Yeah.
And they stole them back. They went, well, fuck off. And then that's what caused the whole big
Or they
thing.
don't help and they turn
Yeah,
around
yeah,
and start,
yeah. But yeah, I think the Silmarils is what they're talking about.
Okay, might be.
Because the start of the Silmarillion's like a really nicely written creationist story.
Oh, yeah, it's
Amazing. I'd love to see...
yeah.
I would have loved to have seen the start of that.
Yeah, you have a Galadriel over voice.
Yeah,
That
singing
story's
and
being told, yeah.
things being created and... Yeah. I thought it would have been better than starting with a bear. Because, the Two Towers starts with Gandhi and Balrog having that big biff, and then he falls down that chasm into the water, and everyone went, fuck, what a way to start a film. The second one, just kind of...
Well, that's the Prancing Pony.
People walking around. I did like that scene at the Prancing Pony, because you've got a real good sense of scale.
Peter Jackson's first thing you see.
Doing the carrot, yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing in the movie.
Yeah.
And then I liked... Yeah, well, I liked that they went back before.
Yeah.
I liked that, and I liked the... I don't know how whether it was the 3D effect or that fucking dude with the beard. There's two guys either side.
Yeah.
He just looks fucking
Hectic.
weird, man. It's
Yeah.
like, not a good guy.
There's not a lot of normal looking dudes in the Prancing Pony, but is there?
Yeah, but just the angle and the way he's looking at
Yeah.
Thorin or whatever.
He's a dude as well. He's a someone. I've seen him in something else. I just can't quite place it. Next time I see it, I'll take a real good note of it.
Just so I do like that they went back and did a bit of that intro. How was Gandalf involved or whatever?
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah. And he's like, this is no chance meeting. And Gandalf's like, oh, sorry. Oh, me. Because he does it to when Galadriel goes, they're leaving. And he's kind of like, whoops, oh, Gandalf at it again.
Yeah. No, he's playing that.
Bang.
Gandalf the Grey perfectly.
Mate. And I reckon Bilbo as well. I reckon Martin Freeman.
Yeah,
phenomenal. Yeah.
I like the little thinking stuff he does.
Yeah. He's got that little kind of twitchy kind of...
Yeah. That whole scene in the woods as a set piece is fucking out of control.
Yeah. When they're getting lost walking around. And the spiders.
Spiders, the feet walking backwards.
Yeah.
Or you're standing in front of yourself.
Yeah.
Just walking in circle like this really tripped out, but almost with old style tricks. Like it doesn't...
It's not modern in any way. I think my dad told Peter Jackson that story about walking through the woods and looking at yourself and your feet are on backwards. Pretty sure that was one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's just done cleverly. Like it's not.
And you feel
light show stuff.
It's not J.J. Abrams with lens flare.
That's right. It's just some subtle kind of mirror tricks or whatever.
And when he climbs up the top of the trees and he breathes in, you really feel that claustrophobia just disappear. Because it was really starting to get a bit... And they're all really slow and like wide-eyed. And then he gets up the top and all those butterflies going. He's like, oh, fuck, he's okay. He's going to be okay. And then the trees start going, the spiders. They were awesome. That was so good.
Even showing him, that first change and that when he kills that baby spider.
Yeah, it comes out and he just absolutely minces it. It's like, mine. Oh, fuck. How awesome.
That was, it's the thing, it's well made. Like, it's perfectly made.
Each part, but just those joins are a little bit...
Yeah, I think like I said, there's not enough little meetings around tables. I don't like that stuff. I like the Hobbit where they're all sitting there. Not all the bullshit where they're cleaning his plate. But that scene where they're all, okay, we're done with dinner.
And he's like, I have the key. We need the map. What are we going to do? We need a burglar, and he's got the paperwork to sign.
I like that sort of, and that's why I like the White Council part.
Because that's the motivation for everything. It's all well and good to have a massive set piece fighting giant spiders or whatever, escaping through barrels. But there needs to be a reason for them to be there, and a reason for them to then get out of there. Yeah, so you were just saying about the polarity of the light and dark.
Discrepancies of there's nothing as light as dwarves washing plates, singing songs in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But there's nothing as dark as that necromancer scene either.
Yeah.
But the things just go. That's, I think, adding to the destructive nature, and again, that comes from the fact that the book was written as a light-hearted kids novel, and then around it, Tolkien put all these. Well, I've got to fit this in with all the Middle Earth mythology, with all this dark stuff that happened with Necromancer and
heavy duty,
and blah blah blah. So it's not Peter Jackson's fault that he can't make that work. You know,
I quite enjoy the movie because when you sit there, especially in the first one, like I know the story pretty well, you still don't know what's going to happen.
No.
Oh, now we're having the White Council. Well, that's not in the book. That's amazing because where else is that going to go? They're not going to make.
I prefer all that.
Yeah. Because action's action, but it's all that other stuff around it that makes it worthwhile.
That's exactly the. So. You know, I'm enjoying them, and I think people are enjoying them. I was never expecting it to be Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is a better story, full stop. You know what I mean? It just is a better story, and it has that thread. Carry this ring
from here to here, and that's the prime motivation.
And then you've got the secondary. Well, there's Aragorn's going to become the king, and there are these secondary bits. Well, they're like very important and work well. And the way they grouped, it hasn't worked as well in The Hobbit, but Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas are doing this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want Sam, but that Tolkien did all that. You know, like
it was already there. You didn't need to. All they did was change the order. Because Tolkien in the second Two Towers book is like 50-50. And it's hard to. I quite like what Peter Jackson's done with it there.
So that's the sort of thing where the Hobbit just doesn't have that, you know. And the Hobbit is, people say, well, it's called the Hobbit. He's barely in it.
That's not the way to look at it.
Well, he can't be. He's not. He's not going to kill a dragon. He's not probably going to be in that big battle in the third film. Because realistically, if you accept the premise of that world, he is only 3'6",
and he's going to get eaten by the first thing that comes along.
Right.
He's done well so far to do what he's done. He's outwitted just about everybody.
I think he's really the point of view, and like you said, he's the storyteller.
He's the narrator of the whole thing. Yeah, exactly right.
He was there. He didn't necessarily do all the stuff.
I feel like, his job's to survive and tell the story, and anything extra is a bonus. But he needs to get back and write that book. I feel like anyone who's going to criticise it, and I've got some friends of mine who have, who's going to criticise it heavily, are the kinds of people who are going to go and watch Fast and the Furious 6, or are going to think that, James Spader's The Blacklist is a great television show. They're going to the whole level of everything has been lowered to some degree, and the fact that Peter Jackson's trying, or the whole team, we keep saying everybody's trying, all the screenwriters, all the filmmakers are trying something different. If it doesn't work 1,000,000%, at least there's fucking something different going on. At least they're trying.
Look, this is like, it is quality. It's not half-assed.
There's one half-assed scene. It's when Legolas rides a horse off the bridge following Azog on the Warg, and it looks like fucking, I don't know what.
Yeah, well, you know where the bunch went?
Yeah, the dragon. It didn't go on that scene with Legolas. How fucking amazing is the dragon, and the gold falling down on itself, and the whole.
That was one thing I was looking at in the high frame rate thing. Just some in those where Erebor, like what the fuck is that way back there?
Yeah,
there is some serious.
Yeah, there's some depth going on. Yeah,
and that I almost can't wait to be able to pause it
and have a look,
because there's some stuff where you're like, even in the
Elven Kingdoms.
Woodland.
Yeah.
Fucking like, wow, that goes forever. You feel like you could literally walk down there forever.
It's like, fuck, look at the set they built. That's amazing. Why would they do that? Yeah. I'm being silly saying about that Legolas scene. Obviously, the quality on the whole is just phenomenal. Even Lake Town, seemingly easy looking compared to everything else, is just immaculate. Oh, mate, I don't even...
Because it doesn't... Okay, you go, okay, well, that would just be a matte painting, or whatever.
Yeah,
CGI.
Yeah.
And then you're like... But now, when they're walking around the streets, it doesn't look... looks fucking like a...
Looks like they've built it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've actually got an in. I know... I might have told you already before. I actually know someone who worked on the Hobbit movies, and she's travelling at the moment. When she gets back, maybe we can tap her for some information and sort of see what we can figure out. Just sort of get some insider. Tell us what it was like working on the fucking Hobbit. That's not a bad interview, if you want to call it, a discussion to have. But overall I really liked it. I'll probably go and see it again on Wednesday. I think I've got a day off on Wednesday. I take one day a week. I generally go and see the Hobbit. It seems the last 3 weeks.
For those extra 30 minutes, whatever we get, because I really want to see what that movie was missing. Well, what took back at that. The dragon, really, as we were saying,
yeah, proper. It looked real.
Yeah.
You know, what was funny was that there was a scene where, I'm going to have trouble explaining it now. There was 2 CG characters talking. It was
the two orcs.
No, it was. No, it was the dragon and there was another CG character, and it looked like the dragon was real compared to like it was. I really have to have another look at it, and I'll pinpoint exactly what I'm talking about. But there's at one stage where there's 2 CG characters, and you go, "Oh, he's a CG character," but the other one you just completely forget. Yeah. Similar to Riddles in the Dark in the first one, high frame rate. Not necessarily the 3D thing. I saw it with and without 3D. The high frame rate, that looks like 2 people having a very fucking intense conversation. Yeah. It does not look like one guy in a gimp suit who's not even there for most of it. It's full on amazing.
There's a few like scary jump moments with the dragon, but he says liar or something.
Yeah.
He comes out.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You would shit your pants.
Yeah.
You'd pass out.
And how good is Martin Freeman doing at reacting in that way to a tennis ball on a stick, whatever it is? Yeah. It's funny because we watched Sherlock last night, as I was saying, and they're the 2 actors from Sherlock. Yeah. And in that, if you haven't seen it, I really recommend it. I've been reading a lot of the Sherlock Holmes tales for my uni, and they're very interesting. And seeing this extremely modern, they text message and it comes up and that kind of thing. It's very interesting, but they're both fucking flawless actors. Like, in that show, in that movie, spot on. They've done other things where they're just people and they're not as great, but they've really nailed these characters. The character of the dragon was just the voice, the intonation, everything about it.
And I kind of like the whole. He knows what's going on.
Yeah.
There's other things that would play. Like he's probably been talking to Sauron / Necromancer.
Yeah.
There's his other.
He's got those whisperings.
Yeah, and he's kind of he's angry or something like with the whole. I should just give him the fucking stone.
Yeah.
It's going to corrupt him, and that'll be worth watching. Like he's got this.
He's got his own sort of pride and sort of like an evil malice, like a.
Yeah, he's malicious.
Yeah,
Really malicious, like
he's not. Like a warg's just a creature or whatever. The cave troll, when it gets shot in the head and dies and makes that noise, everyone goes, "Oh, it's just a creature." But the dragon's a fucking badass, and he's like, "No, I want to see death. I want to see the world burn. I want to see the darkness come back again." Right. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, so it's there's definitely some interesting things.
And he was big, but he wasn't too big. The dwarven halls were bigger, so he could fly a little bit. There was a couple of gliding sort of bits, and he was running around. He climbing over the top of them, and the gold coins are falling. But he was still not filling the entire cavity.
When he breaks out at the end, that's kind of like, oh.
Yeah. Because he doesn't come through the whole wall. He just comes through like the doorway, and he's not the whole.
That's right.
Yeah, I quite like that because it would have been easy to just go. He fills the entire cavern, and it's not interesting because then he's just sitting there talking. Yeah. How'd he get in? How's he get out? Where's he poo? What's going on? Where the lady dragons get snuck in? But when he being that sort of size, and the halls being as big as they were, they could then have him get stuck, move around, fall down the shafts, get locked behind a gate. You know, all the little things that sort of happened.
Yeah.
I don't remember the molten gold happening.
Well, this is, I think, one of the big changes is actually Thorin being the hero of these movies, because to some degree.
Yeah.
Because in the books and all that other stuff, he's not. Doesn't he just hide? Doesn't he get scared?
His destiny hasn't yet fulfilled. Like Aragorn's just a ranger for a while. He hasn't quite stepped up yet.
He's not Aragorn though. Like in the.
Yeah, he's Strider.
No, he's not. He's not even. He's more fucking Boromir.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
sort of gets a bit. I think he gets a little bit. He doesn't go in at all or something, and then once Bart kills the dragon, then he just goes, okay, well, we're here now, and that's where the Battle of Five Armies starts, because he sort of goes, well, fuck yous, I don't need anyone now, I've got my ship back.
Yeah.
Dwarves are on his side again, but he's not good.
He's not the. Yeah, he's not the.
He's not a real.
He's not the Aragorn of the piece. No. Yeah, no. What I was saying is like he's still that lesser, and then he's going to step up later after all the trouble's done.
No doubt in the films that's what's going to happen. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they do that scene at all in the. Right.
In the book, he's just not even.
I think he doesn't want to go in.
Yeah.
He gets scared.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
No, that's ringing a bell for me, but
I know that then Bard kills the. I don't even know how that really works now. I can't remember.
Yeah,
because he kind of rocks up and kills it.
Yeah, that's all I recall. It was like a 2-page thing.
Yeah, and I don't even know if. I don't know where the backstory is from. That could be more appendices stuff. Or it could be made up.
You know, it was weird. I remember it being that he laid on the gold and had gold encrusted belly underneath armor, whatever, and he had a spot where his hand was, and they got him. I don't know about loosing a scale and stuff, because I remember watching the first one, the extended, and they shoot that wind lance and it hits him, and I'm like, and it bounces off. I thought, no, that should go through, because that's where he's not protected, and that's why I thought the molten gold was going to do that, and he was going to be like, oh, now look at me, I'm the magnificent whatever. Because I know they call him at some point Smaug the Golden, because he's got that whole thing when he flies above. Anyways, look, we should probably give it a wrap up, but I just wanted to ask you one thing before we stop. And I'll look at the movie again and figure out where those two CG characters were. There's one part where it's just amazing that you forget they're both not real. When you sit down to watch these movies in a few years' time, because I know you're a completist like me, are you going to start with The Hobbit and go 1, 2, 3, Lord of the Rings 1, 2, 3? Given what you've said about the two stories being... You're
supposed to start watching The Hobbit and then switch to The Lord of the Rings when Frodo runs down the path.
Right, is that how it's supposed to go, is it?
Because he runs down the path, and that's the start of Lord of the Rings.
Right, okay.
After he talks to... Because he goes to run off to meet Gandalf. He's talking to his uncle. In the Hobbit.
Oh, Frodo, right, yeah.
And he runs down the path.
Sorry, yeah, I'm with you.
He goes to meet Gandalf, which is... Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. No, I just mean the movies from 1, 2, 3. Oh, you've got to stop it here because it's the appendices.
It makes sense. It's linear.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm hoping that the third one will have a bit of... There'll probably be a bit of Lord of the Rings guys in it. I'm expecting a bit of Aragorn, a bit of Boromir. I believe. I'm just going out on a limb. I've seen nothing about that.
I don't know how it all fits in at this point.
I don't want to see Sauron anymore. I don't want to see him in his armour kicking ass again.
No. I don't know. Again, that's something the White Council takes care of him, but I don't know exactly what that means. Because
there's another guy called Surdane, who's the boatman who takes them all to the west from not Esgaroth, the other one, the harbour.
Yeah.
He's got to come into it at some point, I believe, because he plays a bit of a part. I think he's got one of the rings.
Oh, okay.
So I think he turns up at some juncture to go, I've got one of these.
I don't really know anything about this one before watching it. I'm hoping, like you said, it's going to be a surprise.
Yeah, because every scene, you just don't know what you're going to get. And I think that's really something, it's better than a lot of other movies where you could just predict start to finish everything that's going to happen. You just literally don't know. It's like turning the pages, what's going to happen now, and that's a really engrossing thing. But anyways, anything else from you?
No, I'm good.
All right, we'll leave it there and we'll get cooking.